بسم الله نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are continuing with our talk about the biographies of the four great jurists, or the history of the Imams of jurisprudence. I've been talking about Imam Abi Hanifa to start with, and then Imam Malik. But today, we will go under the same theme, but I will try to concentrate much more on the first objective and the second objective, why I chose this topic. If you remember, for those of you who are around, I said that one of the objectives is for us to be able to know these great Imams and to know their history, and so that we take them as role model. So I will talk a bit about which is the best century or the best generation for this Ummah al-Islam. The best generation, and I mentioned this in my first talk and I've been repeating it, I just want to hammer it much more. According to the hadith which was reported by Imam Bukhari and it was reported by the Sahabi Imran ibn al-Husayn, he said that he had a Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saying, خيركم قرني ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. The best people among you is qarni, my contemporaries, the people who lived with me, that is Sahaba. ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. Then those who follow, and that is Tabi'in, and then those who follow Tabi'in. And Imran, he said, after mentioning this, La adri, I'm not very sure whether Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned this, ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم مرتين أو ثلاث, 2 times or 3. So if he has mentioned 2 times, it means the best generation is the Sahaba, Qarn Rasul, and then the Tabi'in, and then Tabi'in. If he has said 3 times, then it is 4 generations. It's followed by Tabi'in. It is important for us as Muslims to know this is the best generation. Because if we know it is the best generation, we will take them as the role model. And they were. And role model is very important in formulating any nation and in bringing up the youth and everybody else. You need to see what is your role model. قدوة حسنة. And for us as Muslims, specifically Ummah Muhammad, because even from Adam, they are Muslim, to Ibrahim, to Musa, to all other messengers, they were all Muslims. But to us as Ummah Muhammad, we have a lot of role models. Our role models start from actually all the Anbiya and Mursaleen, specifically Mursaleen. All the messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are our role models. And because of that, in the Surah Al-Nisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala narrates about 18 messengers of Allah. And then finally ends by saying, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ هَدَى اللَّهُ فَبِهُدَاهُ مُهْتَدٍ. Those are the people Allah has guided them, because every messenger of Allah is guided by Allah through the Jibreel, by revelation. أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ هَدَى اللَّهُ فَبِهُدَاهُ مُهْتَدٍ. Therefore, follow their guidance, imitate what they have done, copy what they have done, take them as role model, because these are messengers of Allah, and all the messengers of Allah are ma'asumin. They are protected from sins. So we have the right to follow them as a good example, because they only do what is right and abstain themselves from what is wrong. So we have had that role model of other messengers. And because of that, you will find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Qur'an, He says, connected to Messenger Ibrahim, قَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ فِي إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ. You had a best example of Ibrahim, Abu al-Anbiya, and the people who followed him. We don't want to go to the story of why specifically on what, but on the whole we have to follow Ibrahim and the people actually who were with him, who believed. And Ibrahim was a great individual. In Ibrahim kana ummah. He was ummah, a nation, a community. Because whatever he wanted to look at the ummah to follow, he had it. He was tested with so many things. وَإِذِ ابْتَلَىٰ إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ. He was tested on so many things. So Ibrahim was our qudwa hasana. But the most important one is Prophet Muhammad. Because Ibrahim is one of the ulul azm, who are 5 messengers who are better than the rest. 25. The 25 are better than others, and 25, their names have been mentioned specifically in the Qur'an. And out of these 25 ulul azm, those who have gone through a lot of trials and tests are 5. Nuh, Ibrahim, Musa, Isa, and Prophet Muhammad. Out of this, the best is Prophet Muhammad, being followed by Nabi Allah Ibrahim alayhi salam. And because of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Qur'an had said, connected to that, قَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. You had among you the best example of the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ, for those who hope in Allah, that they want their help, they want their assistance, they want their guidance. وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, and believe in يوم الآخر. وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا, those who mention and remember Allah so many times. So our best example is Prophet Muhammad. But then again, because Prophet Muhammad is a messenger, and we are not messengers, because Prophet Muhammad is ma'asum, protected from sin, we are not protected from sins. So sometimes it's natural, we would want examples from people who are not messengers. Because Shaitan, Iblis can come in a way and say, you want to be like Prophet Muhammad? You can never be. After all, he was protected from Allah. He was ma'asum. You are not. So we want to see people like us. Prophet Muhammad is a person like us, but he's a messenger of Allah. He's giving guidance. He's got direct connection with Allah all the time. So we needed to have examples of the people. And these are examples Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, and the others. It is said that among the Sahaba of Rasulullah, they were the best individual people after the messengers of Allah. And Abu Bakr is the best individual in the world, more than any other individual from the creation of this earth and humankind, other than the messengers of Allah, being followed by Umar and Uthman. So we need those examples. And that is why, you remember last year, I talked about Al-Ashara Al-Mubasharuna Bil-Jannah in this place. For 30 days, I talked about it, specifically and purposely. Why? Because these are the people who Allah has given them, like to say, a free ticket that they will enter paradise. That Mubasharuna Bil-Jannah, they have been given glad tidings that whatever happens, they will enter paradise. Which means Allah has known that they will be abiding by the rules of Allah when Prophet Muhammad is alive, and even when he dies, and until they die. So we needed those examples, and we talked about them. And among these, 4 of them are Khulafa Rashidun, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali. And Rasulullah says about these people, he says, Khilafatun Nubuwa 30 sana. The Khilafah, the successors of the Prophet Muhammad, will be the rightfully guided Khalifs for 30 years. And after that, ثُمَّ يُؤْتِ اللَّهُ الْمُلْكَ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Then Allah will give mulk. It will actually be kings. The kings who are Muslim, starting with Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan, continuously until the Bani Umayyah finished, and then the Bani Abbas until they finished, and then again Dawla al-Uthmaniyya, Ottoman Empire, until they were actually displaced by Kamal al-Turk. May Allah not forgive him. He is the one who made us use the Khilafah. So, these 4 Khulafa are good example for us, and they did a lot. And the rest of the Sahaba, because the beauty of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, all the Sahaba are udul, trustworthy. Except those who have been known that they are hypocrites, munafiqun. Those ones are known. But other than beside that hadith, which had said that Khilafah of Nubuwwah will be 30 years, Rasul gave us another hadith. I am sorry, for some people it may be an element of repetition, but things which are very important, there's nothing wrong in repetition. Even Qur'an, we don't say there's a repetition, but there are stories of Anbiya which have been repeated with different versions, of course, in various places. The story of Adam has been reported about 7 or 8 times. The story of Musa alayhi salam has been reported much more than any other. So sometimes repetition helps for things to sink into somebody's brain. So if I do that, I'm apologizing, but I don't need to, because it is important for these things which are very important to remain in our minds. So Rasulullah said, "Alaykum bi sunnati wa sunnati al-khulafa'i ar-rashidin al-mahdiyyin, 'addu 'alayha bin nawajid wa iyyakum muhdathat al-umur." And the rest of the end of the hadith. That you should be sticking to sunnah. Sunnati, sunnatul Rasul is the saying of the Prophet, the actions of the Prophet, the consent of the Prophet. If something is done and he agrees to it, he never consent to something which is not correct. وَسُنَّةِ الْخُلَفَاءِ الرَّاشِدِينَ, and the sunnah of the rightly guided khulafa, which are these 4 whom I've mentioned. Some people include Hassan for about 6 months, and that completes the 30 years. Our Rasul is telling us this so that if there is anything which was done during the time of this khulafa, we should not hesitate to follow it and know that we are on the right path. And our Rasul is telling us this because he knows, because Allah knows. Of course, our Rasul would know through Allah's revelation that there will be people who will come, and all what they have is to keep on attacking these great individuals who are a good example for us. And we know them, and they are there. Talking here about Abu Bakr, talking here about Umar, about Uthman, about Aisha, and all the best Sahaba. So he has protected them by these statements. Now, these Sahaba, their jeel was the best. Because according to the hadith, it says, Alaykum bisunnatum. It says, Khairukum qarni. The best generation is my qarn. Qarni could be contemporaries, the people who lived in them, could be the jeel, the generation, could be 100 years. They are more or less the same. So the 100 years when the Prophet was there, with all the people who have seen him, that is the best. Being followed, the second best is the tabi'i. Being followed, the third best is tabi'i. Now coming back to connect what I'm talking with what I have been talking for the last 16 or 17 days, I have been talking about the Muslim jurists. Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, I haven't talked. Inshallah after tomorrow I will start talking about him. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. All these 4 imams are either tabi'in, people who saw Sahaba, or tabi'in, people who saw those who saw the Sahaba. Imam Abu Hanifa, as I have mentioned quite a number of times, he lived actually, or he was born 80 Hijri and died 150. So he's the only one who is tabi'in. The rest is tabi'in. Now, why we are talking about this? Because these great people were actually living during this best period. So, and since they have been praised by all the ulama during their time and the ummah, and our ummah never had a consensus on something wrong. Allah has protected this ummah that there is no ijma', consensus on something which is not right. You may have shuhud, you may have exceptions here and there, even if it is shaykh or somebody, exceptions sometimes not so bad, but you may have opinion which is not accepted at all, but you don't have ijma'. So these people have been accepted. Maybe before fast, I got to talk a bit about them. Let me just elaborate a bit of what these Sahaba did. Just a bit. Time does not allow us to go into a lot of details. But why they were so great. I'll mention just a few points. The Sahaba sacrificed a lot. When they were in Mecca for 13 years, there was a lot of persecution. That is the time when you had people who were killed. The first Shaheed, Mata, Sumayya, the mother of Ammar bin Yasir, the father of Ammar bin Yasir, and they were all being punished, and Rasul passing through and telling them, Sabran ala Yasir, fa'inna ma'idakum al-jannah. Persevere, I cannot help you now. I cannot do much. I'm very weak. But we are going to meet inshallah in the Jannah. These people went through such a terrible persecution that they were forced first to migrate in the 5th year after Nubuwwah to Habash. Different environment, different language, different culture, and some of them lived there for about 15 years, like Ja'far bin Abi Talib. He went there in the 5th year after Ba'atha and came back to Medina during the conquering Fath Khaybar. And Fath Khaybar, for those who are familiar with Islamic history, happened in the 7th year after Hijrah. That is about 15 years he lived in a foreign land for the sake of religion. Then they also sacrificed and did a second migration and moved from Mecca to Medina for the sake of Islam. Some of the people, great people like Aba Yahya, Suhaib al-Rumi, he lost all his property when he was migrating. They followed him, they wanted to kill him, and they said, why you have been brought here as a prisoner of war, and you remain here, and you became very rich, and now you migrate with all your wealth to Medina? He said, if what you are interested in is my wealth, take it, but leave me. Otherwise, you went somewhere high. I have all these arrows. Make sure that before you get me, I will have killed with all the number of arrows I have. They said, okay, if you give us our wealth, that's okay. Immediately he reached Medina, Rasul told him, Rabah al-Bay' ya Aba Yahya. The transaction was the best. You made very good profit. You left all your wealth for the sake of what? For the sake of Jannah, for the sake of going to be with the Messenger of Allah and being with the believers. So these Sahaba had sacrificed a lot. Leave alone that they lived in Medina and fought 75 battles. Some of them without the Messenger of Allah, some of them also with the Messenger. With the Messenger, there were about 28 within 8 years. Just imagine, because jihad was accepted in the 2nd year after Hijrah, and the last one was Ghazwat al-Usra at Tabuk, which was in the 9th year. 8 years they fought 75 battles. So the Sahaba did a lot for us. Ultimately also they collected the Qur'an for us, and now we come to these 4 great Imams. The 4 great Imams, as I said earlier, the first one was born 80, and the last one, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, died in 241, which means that they lived from the 1st century to the 3rd century. They are within the same group of 3 generations. And if we take the hadith that maybe it was, he said, وَالَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ 3 times, there was even another generation. So whatever we say about them, if it is correct, they are good role model for us. Abi Hanifa, we have talked about him here, we have talked about his shuyukh, but I want to say something to connect these great Imams. Abi Hanifa, one of his teachers was Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri. The same teacher was also the teacher of Imam Malik. So you can see now they are sharing the teachers, which means they are sharing part of their fiqh. The other sheikh who taught Abi Hanifa, one of them was Nafi' Mawla ibn Umar, and the same individual was the sheikh of Imam Malik. So they are sharing the sheikh, which means the fiqh is more or less the same. The differences are not so much. That is why they are all part of Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And I want to raise something, so that there shouldn't be a big deal between us to differ so much within the same madhahib, which are madhahib al-fiqhiyah within the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Let me give you a few other examples. Imam Malik taught Imam Shafi al-Muwatta. Imam Malik taught Muhammad bin Hassan al-Shaybani al-Muwatta, who was a student of Abi Hanifa. Muhammad bin Hassan al-Shaybani also became the teacher of Imam Shafi. And Imam Shafi also learned from Imam Malik. See the relationship now. Let's go back to others. If you look at Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, one of his teachers was Abu Yusuf. Who was Abu Yusuf? Abu Yusuf was the great student of Abi Hanifa. He's the one who took the madhab of Abi Hanifa after Abi Hanifa has died, because they remained for quite a number of years after the death of Abi Hanifa. The same Abi Yusuf learned at Muwatta of Imam Malik. The same Abi Yusuf became the teacher of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. And they quite related to one another, and their knowledge comes from the same source. After all this knowledge comes from what? The primary two sources of knowledge of Islam is what? The Sharia is Qur'an and Sunnah. Then, if you look at Sufyan ibn Uyayna, one of the great scholars, Madhahib, there were much more than four, but the four got supporters, got students, got people who followed them. The others didn't. Sufyan ibn Uyayna was one of the great scholars, just like Imam Malik and others. He was the teacher of Imam Shafi'i. He was also the teacher of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. So I wanted to relate that to show that the fiqh is the same. The sources are the same. The shuyukh sometimes are mixing one another. And these people usually used to go to 3 or 4 centers. Medina, Mecca, where Madhab ibn Abbas and Fiqh ibn Abbas is there. Kufa, where Imam Ali remained there for about 6 years, and Abdullah bin Mas'ud remained there and he taught people. And this is exactly what used to happen in East Africa for some of you, if you are not familiar. Some years back, in East Africa, in the coast, there were 3 centers: Zanzibar, Mombasa, and Lamu. And shuyukh and tulab al-ilm, they were moving from one center to the other, easily to the same teacher. You are taught something and the sheikh tells you, go to so-and-so in Zanzibar. He is very good in this subject. The reason, one of the second objective why I brought this topic is to show that we should be together. We should be together as students of 3 years. We should be together as shuyukh, so that the ummah is not lost. Shuyukh should be complementing one another, not opposing one another. And this is the sunnah of these people. And I will narrate a few things for the remaining 10 minutes, which are still remaining. Imam Abu Hanifa was well known. He was a good businessman. He was a wealthy individual. He was very good in discussion and argument and falsafa and qiyas. Imam Malik had a great personality. Everybody was really afraid of him. Even his student, hardly asking them questions. He would give his lecture and that's it. And he was well versed, of course, with all ilm from the fuqaha sab'a, the 7 fuqaha of Medina and others. And Imam Shafi'i had a combination of fikr of Abi Hanifa in the qiyas, because one of his teachers was Muhammad al-Hasan al-Shaybani, a student of Abi Hanifa. And he was a combination of madhab al-hadith and other from Imam Malik, because the real teacher was also Imam Malik. And then Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal was well known for sticking to the nas without diverting at all. And wala and zuhd, fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All these 4 individuals were great individuals. Let me now, with the limited time remaining, try to mention the statements. Each one was talking about the other. Layth ibn Sa'd is one of the great scholars like Sufyan ibn Uyayna and others. One time he said, I saw Malik in Medina sweating. I told Malik, what is happening? You are sweating all your face. He said, قال عرفت مع أبي حنيفة. I've been sweating because I met Abi Hanifa. إنه لفقيه يا مصري. That was Muslim. He was just praying. He is a real faqih. I've never seen somebody like him. He was saying that if he wants to convince you that this pillar is made up of the khashab of the wood, and he tells you it is made up of gold, he will be able to convince you. This was the way the ulama and great scholars were praising one another. Then, let's say I met Abi Hanifa, and I asked him and I told him, how come Imam Malik received you so well? He's telling him now. And these people are all building good relations. And what did Abi Hanifa say? He said, ما رأيت أسرع منه بجواب صادق ونقد تام. I have never seen an individual who is so quick in responding with the right answer and critical criticism. Look at that. Will there be enmity between them after that? And they were great. They were not hypocritical. They were talking the truth. But this is what we should learn at the moment now. This is our biggest problem. Having ulama, rather than building one another for the right thing, I'm not saying for the wrong thing. Very critical, not giving the credit where it is due, not bringing the ummah together. Let us look at Imam Shafi'i. What does he say on Malik? He says, إِذَا ذُكِرَ الْعِلْمُ فَمَالِكُ النَّجْمُ. If ilm, knowledge is being mentioned, then Malik is the star. Malik is the star. Let's hear Imam Shafi'i. What does he say about Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, who was his student? He said, when he was asked, خرجت من بغداد, I left Baghdad, وما خلفت بها, I didn't live there, أفقه ولا أزهد ولا أورع ولا أعلم من أحمد بن حنبل. I have never left somebody who is أفقه, much more knowledgeable in fiqh, أو أزهد, واحد سهل, is not interested in this dunya, and really أعلم, who is much more knowledgeable than Ahmad ibn Hanbal. And let's see what Ahmad bin Hanbal was talking about Imam Shafi'i, who was his teacher. He narrates the story. He says, the son of Imam Ahmad, who became a scholar also, Abdullah, asked him one day, said, my father, who is this Shafi'i? For 40 years I have been noticing you are just praying for this individual in your salah and all your dua. Who is this Shafi'i? He was praying for him. He said, Ya bunayya, كان الشافعي كالشمس للدنيا والعافية للناس. Shafi'i was like the sun in the dunya and afia, like health for the people. He said, can you be deprived from these two things? You can't. This was Imam Shafi'i. This is actually how these people were and how they used to love one another and how they praise one another on the right things. And that is why, because of this sincerity, because of their fear in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah had kept their name to be what it is until today. So the current situation, Rasulullah says connected to that, he says that مَنْ تَوَاضَعَ لِلَّهِ رَفَعَهُ اللَّهُ. Whoever becomes humble for the sake of Allah, Allah exalts him, Allah raises him. He says, فَهُوَ فِي نَفْسِهِ صَغِيرٌ وَلَكِنْ فِي أَعْيُنِ النَّاسِ عَظِيمٌ. If you have the tawadu, humility, in yourself you may think I'm a simple individual, but in the eyes of other people they think you are great. وَمَنْ تَكَبَّرَ وَضَعَهُ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. And whoever becomes proud and arrogant, Allah brings him down. فَهُوَ فِي أَعْيُنِ النَّاسِ صَغِيرٌ وَفِي نَفْسِهِ كَبِيرٌ. He himself, in his eyes, he thinks he's big, but the people find that he's a very small individual, as he said that maybe worse than kalb or khinzir, than a dog or a pig. So we need, as leaders, to have tawadu. We need, as the people who follow the leaders, to also be rational and raise and exalt our leaders to the level they deserve, and where they go wrong, we accept it easily. Finally, if I'm left with about 2 minutes, I will end up by saying all these individuals were not so adamant about their qawl, about their words. Let me just say Imam Shafi'i, what does he say about his qawl? Imam Shafi'i said, قولنا صواب يحتمل الخطأ. Our words are actually our fatwa, our sawab, are right, and they can be wrong. وَقَوْلُ غَيْرُنَا خَطَرٌ يَحْتَمِلُ الصَّوَابِ. And the sayings of other people, it can be actually wrong, but they can be right. And I will finish up with just one more word by saying Imam Abi Hanifa was seeing Abu Yusuf writing almost everything. And he started telling him, why Abu Yusuf, why are you writing everything? Today I will say something, tomorrow I will change my mind and say something else, so don't write everything. Inshallah, I will stop there, and our shuyukh and our visitors have already come, and we will be with them, inshallah. Wa akhiru da'wana, and alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Inshallah, jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.